So apparently, grades are due every week. The more you know. Well, I'm just getting back from my meeting with my supervisor, and all is going well. I've got some ideas. I just got to get them into lesson plan format with all the required materials to execute those lesson plans. So I've gotten one lesson plan done, and I'm going to do another one tonight, and then tomorrow my kids are testing, and so I'm going to try and work on sociology then. I learned today, / I kind of knew, but it was confirmed that next Tuesday I'm starting my work on the sociology class. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take on education, and we're going to look at education through a bunch of different lenses and applying the different sociological theories and perspectives to education through those lenses. So I think the first time we're going to talk about just like the bureaucracy of school and like students' place in school, the school system, and teachers' place in school system, and standards and testing and all that stuff. And I'm going to have them make a test. Usually my co-op has them like read through the chapter and but he just reads through the chapter. I think he gives them questions. And so I'm going to still have them read through the chapter, so I won't break the tradition on that one. But as I read through with the group, they're going to come up with a 12-question quiz that I may use the questions on an exam later on. And there's going to be like criteria, so they just don't give like easy questions like what color's the sky. I mean, hopefully they wouldn't do that because it's not related to education. But yeah, so they'll do that. And there's 4 sections in the chapter for education. So I think the first section will be like the bureaucracy of education and like the system and everything. And then the next section, the last 3 sections are broken into like the perspectives of like the sociological perspectives, so like the functionalist theory, the conflict theory, symbolic interactionism. Those 3 are those ones specifically mentioned in the book. And so we'll look at education with those theories, but through different lenses. So I think the first one we might talk about like race and the disparity between different academic achievement of like Black students based in comparison to white students, or Hispanics in comparison to Asian Americans, and different things like that is what we'll look at through that lens and the functionalist perspective. And I might move it around to make sure it's a good discussion, but it's not like awkward and like weird. Like, I don't want to be prejudiced if we're talking about race in schools, because there is a high population of Black students in my class, and there's also white students in my class. I don't want it to be like an argument. I just want it to be a discussion and learning about things, and like, here are what statistics say, what is your experience, and then what can we do to solve the disparity? Maybe that's how I'll phrase it. What can we do to solve the disparity in education? And I think we might watch a documentary. We watched a documentary in my sociology course last semester, is where I got the idea for this lesson plan form, where it was Hard Times at Douglas High. And it's a movie or a documentary about an urban high school. I think it's in the DC area, and there are primarily African American students there, and they are just documenting like how their students are in their achievement, like how parents show up or don't show up for their students and everything. It's a very interesting documentary, so I think I might show some of that so they can just see kind of like what I'm talking about with like the different disparities in education. And then the next one, I think I'll do rural and urban schools and like the differences in not necessarily achievement, but just like the cultures there, and how you have those rural schools in Appalachia, and how their culture, how the students there achieve or do different things differently than students in urban areas like the one I am in, which is, it's more urban than like rural or suburban, but it's definitely not like a super city. Like, it's not New York City by any means, but we call it a city. And so we'll do that, and then I haven't really figured out what the third lens will be, but we'll definitely explore different things like that. And I'm trying to figure out if I want to plan to have activities last the whole class, because my co-op doesn't necessarily do that. Like, they'll have time at the end of class to just kind of like sit there if they've done everything, which is not bad, but sometimes it gets like, not annoying, I don't know. It just seems like they should be doing something, and so I don't want them to get mad at me for making them do anything, but I also just I don't want them to just be sitting there if my supervisor comes and observes me or something like that. And so I gotta figure out the fine line balance between those two options, but that's my plan. My co-op's like, so the minimum days I want you to spend on this on sociology lesson or unit is 5. So I have 5 days minimum to do it. And I was like, can one of those days be the test? And he was like, yeah, one of those days can be the test. And so I'm thinking about just breaking it down to the 5 or to the 4 sections of the textbook, and then the 5th day be the test. But I might put something else in there. I don't know, if I find a good documentary or movie or something to show that iterates the point of looking at education through a sociological perspective. If you have any suggestions or ideas about that, and you think they'd be good things to do in the classroom or good movies to show in the classroom, leave me a comment below, so that I can look into that and see if I can use your ideas. That'd be very helpful. But as of now, that's all I got for that. And then I have to finish my lesson plan for the Pacific Theater of the War for my U.S. History class, which is, I'm talking about World War II. And so I've done my Introduction to World War II lesson plan. I need to finalize all of the materials, like the slide and like the notes and stuff for that, and kind of think of a efficient way to print notes packets, because I don't want to do the fill in the blank notes packets like they've been doing, because it's literally, here's a sentence, we took one word out, we took another word out, look at the slideshow for the bold and underlined words and put those in there. And one, my program kind of discourages that, and 2, I just don't like doing that. There's no like thought behind that. And so I want to have more of like a graphic organizer, or like something where they have to actually write out like words and like put in their own words what's on the slideshow and stuff like that. So I got to come up with how I want to present the notes to the students and how I want them to record the notes. So, and it's going to be a change for them. I'm hoping it works out okay, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to go ahead and get started on that, and I will talk to y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Woo! I've definitely tried like 3-4 times to do my outro, so I'm just going to say it. Make today great.